Hello, how are we doing? It is Roberto, and it is FPL Yellow Army, and in today's video we're doing a nice little watch-along stream, and in the live chat, get down any questions you've got about this FPL season. I'll try and answer them as best as I can. Apologies people for the few technical hitches we had getting this stream up, but it's one of my first times doing this kind of thing with a webcam, so yeah, hopefully you do appreciate all of this and smash a like on it if you do go and enjoy this video. But yeah, basically what we're going to be doing today is just talking through Game Week 1. Any questions you've got, I'll try and answer them, and I'm going to go through my Game Week 1 team selection video. So this is the final video that I'll be doing before Game Week 1's deadline, which is less than a week away on the Friday the 13th, 6:30 PM. So this is me locking in my team, and get in the comments what are your thoughts on FPL this season. Obviously, it's going to be an interesting one. I think that it's a very open season, and with a lot of the prices that players have been put at, there's a lot of variety in terms of who can be chosen in a certain price bracket. Your likes of Ollie Watkins, Calvert-Lewin, all at 7.5. But there has been a bit of an injury crisis, so we'll go through that, and we'll go through my team selection as I mentioned. So yeah, should be a really good fun one, and hopefully it can be one that we look back on and hopefully have a good Game Week 1 to start off the season. You always want to start off the season well, but of course it's difficult sometimes to get that perfect team for Game Week 1, but we shall do the best we can. Apologies people if the screen quality is quite bad at the minute, but you can change it to an advanced setting, so 180p is possible, 1080p, and also share with your friends if you like FPL and you want your friends to watch in and join in the fun. Then yeah, share this stream and share this live. So let's get into it then, shall we? Starting off with the fact that I have made my own YouTube league. You probably will know that if you follow me on Roberto_the_pro, FPL Yellow Army YouTube league. All the subscribers can join in if they like, and you'll have of course a very nice manager of the month shout out on my Instagram, and also the winner of it gets a shout out and a chance to collab on a future video, maybe the end of season review, at some point in June or something. But also, yeah, lots of exciting things going on. So if you want to join that league, if you want to join the FPL Yellow Army YouTube league, then make sure you could join my private league, and it's with the code that is FSSRUP. So FSSRUP. I think of it as a syrup. Yeah, no, it's FS. I think that's right. Let me just double check that for you people, so we don't make any mistake through that. But yeah, it should be a really fun one. Hopefully we can have a range of people from all corners of the globe hopefully entering that league. Should be really good fun. So yeah, it's FSSRUP, just to confirm. So great to see that, and as I said, great to see we're trying something different with this FPL channel. We're trying to do some webcam stuff. Graphics just takes too long, man, and I'm a working lad. I haven't got the time for that. So let's get into, first of all, now that we've discussed the league, what my team is right now for Game Week 1. And like I said, any questions you've got, feel free to drop them down in the chat, and I'll do my best to answer them, because obviously we've got to think about who is the best options and how are we going to kind of negotiate this first game week. It's really interesting to see. So let's start off with my team then, shall we? My team selection for Game Week 1. And before I go into it, my team name is Backman and Robin. You gotta love it. Come on, that is absolutely quality. I just need to make sure, people, that my sound is working. Let me just double check that. How are we going to kind of negotiate this first game week now? Yeah, it's all good. It's a little bit jarry, I'm afraid, but I've just got some things running in the background, so that's probably why. But yeah, bear with me, people, whilst we do the best we can from that. But yeah, let's get into it then, shall we? Here it is. So let's have a little look. In the lineup, in Backman and Robin's lovely little looking team. Let me just make sure this is in line. Yep, it's looking lovely. Right, here we go. This is going to be really exciting. I'll be fascinated to know what you guys think of my team, because I look I look at this team so often. Like, I've tinkered with it unbelievably, amount of times. It's actually crazy. So, was it worth the tinkering? Basically, was this, worth all the tinkering? Let's see what you guys think. But here it is. We are going to show you it right now, my people. Let's just make sure we've got every single side nice and in line. Lovely stuff. Okay, here we go then. This is it. This is the moment of truth. This is my team for game week number 1. We are going to show you now. So, in goal, you can see there, quite clearly, it is a bit of... Oh! Yes, it is Daniel Bachmann. Bachmann is the man. I mean, I said about how he's my goalkeeper. He's my current goalkeeper, and he's the team name, Bachmann and Robin. I simply couldn't not have him in my team through that. He just looked like a great option. He's a set and forget goalie. He's the one that you probably will want, because obviously coming down from the Championship, Watford did have really solid defence. Now, obviously, we don't know how it's going to play out. We hope that it's just as strong in the Premier League season. Obviously, it's going to be a very different story. But at the end of the day, we're doing what we can, and hopefully Bachmann can get us points. He's kind of that, Dean Henderson vibe that we're feeling. I think that he could be decent. Set and forget. You've got to remember with goalkeepers that, hi there FPL Penguin, great to see you, mate. Hopefully Watford do stay up, but you've got to remember that we're set and forget goalies. Like, some people are like, oh no, I need your Allisons, your Edisons, those premium goalkeepers. But actually, long term, is it worth it to kind of get all that value out of your starting 11? It's just not worth it, is it? So it simply has to be that you use your funds wisely, and you just kind of discard the goalkeeper as a massively important position. But also, I would say, with the goalkeeper, you can actually get a few little gems, and you can pick out a few players that you wouldn't have expected to do well, but actually really could do, especially in terms of save points. And we saw that with Daniel Bachmann last season. His saves that he racked up was absolutely fantastic. So I think he could be a nice little option at 4.5 million. But you wonder, I guess, what is my second goalie? Now, a lot of people will have Robert Sanchez, fair enough. The Brighton defence, though, has been through the walls a little bit in pre-season. You've got Dunk, not perfect, but he's going to be fit to play. Then you've got Veltman, yeah, alright, not the most attacking, but he's going to be fit to play. Lamptey's injured. And then you've got injuries to Dan Burn, and also I think you've got another injury to the left-sided centre-back. I'm not sure which one of that is, but there's options there. There's a 4 million Shane Duffy. There's fantastic options, but is that Brighton defence too depleted to get the clean sheets? I don't think Sanchez will have a bad season, but I just think, stick with the Watford goalie, stick with your guns, and be loyal to Watford. And also, I think Bachmann, he's just going to have an impressive season. Obviously, it will come down to whether we can defend this season, and I'm worried, because you just look at the teams around us and they're all strengthening so much. But I still think Bachmann can get those save points. And the Villa game, alright, it might be tough up against someone like, Danny Ings and Watkins and Buendia, but at the end of the day, let's just hope and pray that Bachmann is a nice set and forget option. Let's move on then, shall we, to our back four. We're playing a very interesting 4-4-2 formation, which I've got to admit, I won't play all season, but it is a nice little kind of variant to make it a bit more differential in a way, I guess. A lot of people like the 4-3-3. I'm just watching back, people, and it seems that my stream is quite slow at the minute, which I'm trying to sort out for you guys, but maybe that's just the connection. I don't know what's going on, to be honest. Just get down in the comments if anything is going on, because obviously we want to try and have it as clean as possible. But no, I think it's fine. So yeah, the idea is there, a set and forget goalie, and hopefully a good season for Daniel Bachmann. In the back four, though, we've got the following players. We've got Trent Alexander-Arnold. I mean, it's got to be done, hasn't it? It really does. he looks like an absolutely unbelievable talent this FPL season. I mean, he looks like an essential player. I know that he had that really dodgy injury last time, and he didn't have the best of seasons. But just think, if he's starting fit from this season, how well he can do, especially with those opening fixtures for the Reds. It is absolutely unbelievable. So yeah, just edging us our way into the defence here. Trent Alexander-Arnold is the first man in that back four, and at the end of the day, he just looks so good. Norwich away to start the season, you cannot complain with that. And I certainly think that Trent is just. There's something about Trent that just you can't ignore how good he is, and also you want to prevent yourself from getting in because you're like, oh well, Trent is owned by everyone, but you're going to regret it if you don't own this guy, because honestly, he's something else. He is dynamite. He is completely the kind of FPL asset you would want. And I just think, why bother? Why bother saying to yourself, I'm not going to do it, I'm not going to take that risk, when actually, you probably should take that risk. Trent Alexander-Arnold for 7.5 million. Okay, yeah, it's not the easiest of players to have in your squad setup, but actually, he's probably worth more than a lot of the 7.5 million midfielders in there. So, as I said, apologies if I've got any technical issues right now, but Trent Alexander-Arnold just looks like a must for me. I think, why would you not have him based on the way that he plays, basically? He's on set pieces. Liverpool's fixtures are so good to start the season. And yeah, he looks like a really nice option. Now, Norwich obviously will try and score in that game, but you'd imagine that's fairly confidently a clean sheet for Liverpool. And let's see if he can add those attacking returns. I'm just trying to just adjust this for you people, because we seem to be having a little problem trying to squeeze this in for you. So let me just make sure this is up to scratch. I'm very much a novice at this streaming side of things, so just bear with me people as I sort this out. Where is it? I can't seem to get this back. So why is this not? Can you see that alright, people? Just let me know in the chat if you can see that alright, and you can see all the players, because I can't seem to make sure this is up to scratch. I'm very much a novice at this streaming side of things, so just bear with me people as I sort this out. We seem to have a bit of a frozen screen. Apologies for that, people. I can't seem to shift Trent Alexander-Arnold over to the right. Maybe I've done this wrong a bit here, but if I just minimise this out a little bit. Hang on. This should do it, hopefully. Is that it? Have I done it there? Why can't I find Trent Alexander-Arnold on here? Apologies, people. I'm trying to work this out. It's a very interesting process. I'm just trying to negotiate. Yeah, I can't seem to get Trent to the right, so if I can just find a way to why is this not letting me do it? Can you see it now, people? Is this better? Or is it no? It's still having the same problems. If I just zoom out a little bit more, then it should hopefully show Trent in the view. Oh, here we go. Here we go. Yeah, I think we got it, people. There we are. That's more like it. Right. Apologies for that, people. We had a little issue there, but we've seemed to have resolved it. Right. Back to what I was talking about with Trent Alexander-Arnold. So, yeah, I just think you'd be silly to not have him, really. He just is such an improved and just essential asset. I honestly do think that. So, yeah, moving on to Luke Shaw. This guy obviously had an amazing Euros with England, and he just is so attacking. He's been cleared to play that first game against Leeds, and Man United's fixtures to start the season are looking very nice, I've got to say. Looking very, very appetising, appealing, all the words above, basically. And Luke Shaw has actually got so much attacking threat. We don't really appreciate how much it is, but it is a lot. With Man City, that game last season, he was playing almost as a left winger in that Man City game. So, yeah, he's very exciting. It depends how much, further forward he can get, but even then, he's still on free kicks. And as we saw in that Everton friendly, he can really whip them in for your likes of Harry Maguire and, coming to the side, your likes of Rafael Varane. So, it seems that we are a few seconds behind the stream that I'm doing here and the one that's going out on YouTube. So, apologies for that, people, but I think we're still getting out there just fine. So, we've just got to hope that once this is fully published, it's all kind of looking nice. So yeah, that is my idea basically behind Luke Shaw. I just think, Leeds obviously are going to be attacking, but I think Luke Shaw could get a clean sheet in that. And also, Luke Shaw is just so attacking. Like, you get him for his attacking output. And at 5.5 million, there's a lot of really exciting, prospects at that price bracket. And I think Luke Shaw is just one you really can't go without. Next up, we've got Lucas Digne. Now, this guy is the most attacking, defender in the game. I honestly do believe that, along with Trent Alexander-Arnold. Obviously, Everton is a bit of an unknown quantity right now, and a lot of people are panicking on their players. They're, panic selling them. Fair enough if you think that, but I just think with those Everton fixtures, you've got to have one of their assets, and you've got to make the most of those fixtures. They probably do look right now like fixtures that are more beneficial for clean sheets than attacking returns, because at the end of the day, Leeds, are a very good attacking team, but, maybe a bit leaky defensively. All right, maybe that's a 0-0 where both sides kind of don't want to leak the goals that they usually do. So then that's perfect for Lucas Digne. But then obviously match week 3, I feel like that game for Everton is, it's a decent one enough. And Southampton at home, without Danny Ings in that team, Southampton probably will struggle for goals. So, all right. We've not known Everton to always be defensively solid. Pickford had a great Euros though, and at the end of the day, Rafa Benitez can get that team just looking a little bit more solid, and defensively is not too much of a problem because they offer something going forward as well as those clean sheets. But I think where it's looking a bit of a problem is their front two. Richarlison coming back from the Olympics is not going to be fit in time, or have enough stamina in time. But also Calvert-Lewin has now got a toe injury. So, yeah, Digne just seems the man to go with. And I think that he can hopefully take a few more free kicks, whip in a few balls for, anyone to really finish it. It doesn't really matter. The main thing is Digne is so creative that those assists will get some rewards eventually. So, moving on to our last defender there, Vladimir Coufal, as you can see on that right-hand side. Now, I'll admit, the West Ham fixtures aren't amazing. But when you think of teams like, Leicester and Brighton, you actually fancy West Ham to get more attacking returns from defence. Now, would you fancy them for more clean sheets? I don't know. I hope you could say that. But at the end of the day, they kind of trailed off a little bit at the end of last season. They got Europa League, which was amazing for them. They could have got Champions League. But, they kind of were winning games and then they were kind of bottling it at the end. But Coufal doesn't matter if he doesn't get clean sheets because he's so attacking. The fact is, it was his first full season and he was just amazing. Like, his crossing is just on point. He's got such a great relationship with Antonio, such a great relationship with, so much of that West Ham squad that he just puts it on a plate for them. He's so attacking. Obviously, he's not maybe as attacking as Cresswell, but I just think for the, less 5.5 million at 5 million, compared to 5.5 for Cresswell, he's worth that little less money, and actually he could just get as many assists this season because he's going to be confident going into it off the back of a pretty solid Euros, I thought. So it just seems logical. And Newcastle, all right, they've got Callum Wilson and everyone's going to be turning to him, but at the end of the day, Newcastle doesn't fill me with confidence from an attacking point of view, so that's a chance for Soufal. And even in that Leicester game, at game week 2, I could play Soufal because of those attacking potential points. So I think that Soufal is just a little option at 5 million. It seems a bit underpriced, and I'm willing to take advantage of that. In our midfield, though, this is where it gets a little bit interesting. We've gone a little bit differential with 2 of our picks, and then the other 2, you'd probably say are pretty template. But there's nothing wrong with the template to start the season. Obviously, you want to get a bit more differential as the season goes on. But, to start the season, if you know that these players are template for a reason, because they're back to get the most points, they're, nailed-on players, you want to start the season with nailed-on players, and maybe you get a bit more riskier as the season goes on and you've got less to lose / more to lose. But we want players that are going to start, we want players that are going to have attacking threat and that have decent fixtures. So, in this midfield then, we've got an interesting array of talent here, and it is the following: Emil Smith-Rowe, Ismail Assar, Mo Salah, and Bruno Fernandes. Now, of course, Salah and Fernandes, I'm pretty sure, are in most teams, but I've seen a lot of people, and I actually have joined Twitter over the last couple of months, a bit earlier on than that, but this is my first full season, and first season, from the start, where I've been on Twitter, and basically everyone is posting their own Bruno drafts with no Bruno in it. And I got to admit, it does make sense to not have Bruno because, it does free up a lot of money, and it's amazing what you can do with that money. But I also agree that there are some players that you just cannot go without. And I think Bruno Fernandes is one of them. Alright, off the back of a pretty bang, I'd say bang average. It was even terrible for Portugal from the Euros. But the main thing is, he's the main man in that team. Obviously, Cavani signed a contract, Sancho's come in, some good superstars in that club. But I just don't think that Bruno, his attacking impetus and his attacking influence will lessen. Obviously, people are saying he won't get as many penalties, but you can't guarantee that. And Bruno is just still so creative. When he needs that moment to drag Man United back into a game, he so often provides it. And, as the total point scorer, the highest point scorer from last season, he's got it in his locker. We know this. And Leeds at home, do I want to miss out on Bruno possibly having a massive haul? No, I don't. So he's in there, but obviously we're going to monitor the situation. We know that at the same price, Kevin De Bruyne is currently out injured, and as is Phil Foden for a little while, Pep Guardiola said. And I am thinking about that second game against Norwich for Man City, but right now, Bruno's fixtures, it seems no reason to get rid of him. He looked really good as well in the game against Everton in the pre-season. So, I think Bruno Fernandes just looks a solid option. Alright, you can be differential and not have him, but if he does score, it really will come back to bite you. And Leeds are a pretty leaky team. Fernandes will kind of open up those gaps and really get at Leeds. So, next up, Emil Smith-Rowe. This is a bit of an interesting one. Now, people will look at Arsenal and say, why have any of their assets? A lot of our Arsenal fans themselves will be pessimistic about this season because, last season it ended really, really poorly. But the main thing, the shining light of that Arsenal team still, you would say, is that youth that they've got in the heart of their team. And Emil Smith-Rowe is looking to be the next big thing for Arsenal. And at the end of the day, he is a very good player. He hasn't had a lot of minutes last season, but when he has, he's made the most of it. And, at that really nice price of 5.5 million, he's just one of those players where I can start the season with him, see how he goes. If he gets rotated or if he gets not as much attacking returns as I would like, then I can upgrade to a 6 mil or downgrade even to a 4.5 and then reinvest in some of my other midfielders. So, yeah, he's a nice little price bracket. And I think with Arsenal's fixtures, they're really interesting. Obviously, Brentford first is the sort of game where you can easily own them because Brentford are inexperienced. Will they get battered? Well, Arsenal haven't often done that through the years, but also Brentford will be nervous, won't they? They're going to have cold feet. It's their first game. Obviously, the fans coming back is going to play a part, and Brentford will be well up for it. But I still think an Arsenal asset in that first game is not a bad idea. And Smith Rowe is so attacking, so why not give him this first game, see what he does against a promoted team, and then of course they've got those 2 games against Chelsea and Man City that you wouldn't fancy him for, so you can easily bench him, or, as I mentioned, in that nice price point, just rotate him out for a 5.5 or a 6 mil midfielder that has a better fixture. So he looks like a nice little option, and I could even keep him until game week 4 when he has a nice one against Norwich, and then the fixtures, go on a nice little run. So at the end of the day, I'm pretty happy with Smith Rowe. I think it's a nice little option, and he's been given the number 10 shirt, so that just shows, Arteta's intent that he could be a really important player for them this season. And yeah, he's worth it in my team for me personally. Next up though, we've got a bit of Ismail Assar, and obviously it's hard to not be biased from my perspective as a Watford fan, but this guy he's different gravy. Like, he's absolutely beautiful in terms of a footballing sense. He's so good. He's so crucial to the way Watford plays. So I would just see that if I had to predict where our points would come from in FPL this season, that it would come through him. I don't see why that wouldn't be the case. And at the end of the day, he's just so rapid. Like, why would you not have him to start a season when Watford's fixtures are actually quite promising? Now, you can debate it both ways, but I think that to start off with, really it is worth it. Because Villa, alright, they had a good season last season, but was it a one-season wonder? They haven't proven it for a second successive season. Let's find out. And, he's just so key to that Aston Villa team, so that actually everything will go through Sarr. Everything will, be found and, looking for him. And he could be on penalties. If Troy Deeney's not starting the season, which I can't imagine he would, unless, we've got an injury to someone else in the forward line, then he could equally be on penalties. Joao Pedro, possibly. I've heard a lot of people say that Josh King could be on penalties. I don't think that is going to happen realistically. But in terms of pre-season, you've got Ashley Fletcher, you've got Dan Gosling. They have all really had good pre-seasons. So obviously it'd be unlikely for Fletcher to play, but if you are getting those, attacking points, and you're looking for kind of nailed-on players, Ismail Assar is one of them. So it looks like a great shout, and you're kind of looking at Assar as a long-term buy. The fixtures for Brighton, and obviously after game week 4 onwards, you've got some really nice games for Ismail Assar to really do some damage. So looks like a good option, and I thought about Emi Buendia, but he's not proven for Aston Villa, and I just fancy someone else in that Aston Villa team, but we'll talk about it in a little bit. Mo Salah, you don't have to say a lot about him, really, do you? Because he is just the number 1 player you get when you build your team. He is just so consistent, week in, season out, season in. It's just unbelievable how talented and how determined he is as a player. And it looked like he might just go to the Olympics, but Liverpool were like, nah, not having any of that. So yeah, they did well to keep hold of him, really. But I do feel that first game, he's just the most nailed-on captain option. Like, to not captain him against Norwich, you would be pretty bold. Norwich, obviously, coming up the season, they might stay up. You never know with Norwich, but I think they are going to be quite leaky in this first game. And Liverpool want a statement of intent. They don't want to whimper this season like they did last season, and they want to be in the title race. So Salah's going to go for it, and he scored a hat-trick on the opening day against Leeds, and you've seen a lot of players in the past score hat-tricks on the opening day. You likes Raheem Sterling, so I think he could be in for another one. If he really goes for it, then we could see a great captain haul from Mohamed Salah. Now, in terms of the forward line, let's get into it now, because this is a difficult one. I've had a lot of difficult decisions to make, mainly because of injuries, and there's not a lot we can do about this kind of thing, because we're doing our best to get the players in that look the most appetising, but actually these players have dropped off with injuries and pre-season problems. So you had Ollie Watkins, who looked like a great option, was never leading my team, and then Villa made a few signings. And then you had someone like Calvert-Lewin, who I thought was, a must-have. But then I think, actually, with Benitez, is that going to make DCL less attacking? And also, will Everton struggle because they just haven't got much of a team right now? The midfield is injured or leaving. There's a lot of going on at Everton right now, and I'm just not sure that Calvert-Lewin will have the perfect supply, to be honest. So it is a worrying sight, I'll be honest. It is worrying. But we've gone with these two players up front. We're playing a 4-4-2, and this is what I'm going to go for. It is a bit bold, but you've got to go big or go home, I say. So starting off with then, we've got the absolutely interesting, interesting is the word, forward line of Ings and Antonio. Now, Ings is the first one I've got to address because obviously new signing, Aston Villa, he's the man, I think, because, yeah, all right, Watkins will play probably, but he'll get pushed out to the left. And you want a player that's going to be playing right in the middle, nailed on for minutes. Is it actually nailed on? I hope so, but at the end of the day, I'm scared about that first game, to be honest, against Villa. I think Ings could do us dirty in that game. He is certainly a player who can really be prolific in his season. And I just think that why bother trying to hope that Watkins gets the goals when you can have someone that's probably more prioritising that team. You know, you saw Watkins play on the left-hand side at Brentford under Dean Smith, and Ings is not going to have that. Coming in as a big signing, he's going to want to start every week. He's going to want to be their main target man, and I just think that, Villa did have a really good season last time. They are so attacking, and they've brought in such amazing talent. Buendia, Leon Bailey as well, just unbelievable. Obviously, to lose their biggest player, to lose their best player is a massive blow. So how Villa respond to the loss of Jack Grealish will be interesting. But I think that to start the season with Watford, Newcastle, and Brentford, you can't complain for Danny Ings. Those are the kind of fixtures you want. And then we can always think about downgrading later because we've got to remember he's one of those more premium forwards at 8 million. Right, moving on. Newcastle is a very interesting matchup for Antonio. I think it'll be a bit of a tussle of the forwards there, Wilson or Antonio. Now, I just think West Ham attacking is so... It's a bit of a myth, really, that Antonio isn't a good FPL option because people say, he's a, injury-prone player and he's not going to get the goals. He's doing it all on his own. He's got no attackers and no forwards around him. But at the end of the day, he doesn't need that much support. He's that kind of player. He's just so good on his day. And obviously, we hope he stays fit. But, if fit, he can be brilliant. And Antonio against Newcastle, that could be a chance of points. Second game, Leicester, all right, that'll be a tough one. But, it's a big game to kind of fight for the European places. Antonio can do anything. And he can score against anyone in his given day. I remember last season I had him and I sold him straight away when he played Tottenham. And I was like, why did I do that? Because then I looked back at previous archives and realised he always scored against Tottenham. So don't always, back against a player because of the fixture if their form is good. You've just got to kind of back it. But I think Antonio is the sort of player who, at 7.5 million, looks the most likely to get goals at that price bracket. We've got Wilson, who isn't that attacking, and alright, he's on penalties, but I'm just not feeling that Newcastle United attack right now. And then, of course, Watkins, we mentioned, we don't know who's going to play. Iheanacho, obviously, not a bad option, but, there's a bit of rotation problems there if Daka gets some minutes and Vardy, starts ahead of him. But I wonder about Iheanacho, because obviously he took the penalty when Vardy was off the pitch in the Community Shield. That won't happen often, but you've got to remember as well, Iheanacho likely to go to the Africa Cup of Nations, so that will mean that he's not going to be there all season. But you've got to also think Antonio is their number one striker. Like, he's going to be their main man. So although it does put more pressure on him, it means he's more likely to get the minutes that you need for him, really. So that's my thinking behind it. I've also considered, obviously, the fact that Antonio has got to play Europa League, but this is a game week 1 team. We don't have to have this team all season. We can make changes, and I think against Newcastle is a decent fixture to target. And just quickly, we're going to go to our bench and go through that, and then we will answer any questions we've got in the chat. So looking at the bench right now, it is an interesting mix of nailed on players, but also some bench fodder. But I think it's important to still have a strong bench. I've seen a lot of people saying, oh no, well, restrictions have lifted, COVID's basically gone, you've got to have a really, weak bench and invest in your team. But I don't agree with that completely. I think to have at least 2 starters, players that are going to, not get rotated, is important. You can maybe just neglect one of the sub spots of those 3, but I think at least 2, because at the end of the day, you can get injuries, you can get COVID suspensions, and you might as well, because also you've got to think about the selection. Obviously, it makes it more difficult to get those selections right when you've got more options, but it also could make it easier in some occasions when you've got a really tough fixture for a player you really fancy, but then you've got another player who's, medium, but actually got a really good fixture, and then you can rotate accordingly. So I do kind of like that style. I think these players here have got a good potential to get points across the season. Now, Ben Foster, we mentioned Cycling GK in a previous video, I think, talking about how he's just one of those really good 4 million budget goalkeepers. And obviously he's not the man to start the season, but there's not many second goalies who have got as much of a chance to play as Ben Foster. And I just think Watford's fixtures aren't that bad, to be fair. Now, Tony is an interesting one. Obviously he's unproven, but I've got a little bit of flexibility in this team because I have 1 million in the bank. Yeah, that's right, 1 million. Now you're going to say to me, oh, what are you doing? You're absolutely wasting away that money, and you should always start the season with no money in the bank, because I kind of agree with that to an extent. You think about building up value in your team, and then you kind of get those hidden gems, those value players that get you points, and then you can invest in more premium assets because you've kind of built up money by price rises and things like that. But actually, I disagree with you in the respect that to start the season, you've got to be flexible. You've got to have an open mind. If you've spent all your money, then you kind of stuck down certain pathways, and you can't get in some players if they have a price rise. You've got to consider as well early season price rises, but that money does allow you to kind of negotiate that. And with Ivan Toney, as I mentioned, he's unproven. He's amazing. He's absolutely amazing. He was fantastic last season. Just quickly, we'll answer a question in the chat. Thanks for that. That is from Faz Lee, and he said Kufal or Cresswell. That is a big decision. It depends how you want to spend your money, really, in defence. A lot of people are saying they don't want to spend their money in defence, just focus on the attack, and that I agree with. But I think if you had to choose, it would probably be Kufal, just because he's so attacking, if not as attacking as Cresswell, and he's 0.5 cheaper. So I'd go for Kufal personally, but feel free if you're thinking about free kicks, then obviously Cresswell is your man for that. So yeah, let's move on to Ivan Toney, finishing off chat. He is the man really, because he was amazing last season, an amazing 33 goals I think he got, including the playoffs. Unbelievable. So if he can just carry that on, if he can still stay attacking in that Brentford team, still stay at the front of their chances and goals, then he could be a perfect option really. So I think at 6.5 with the million to spend as well, you can rotate that. You can even go down to a 5.5 if there are some nice little gems to start the season, but we don't know that yet. We don't know if Joao Pedro is going to get the goals. We don't know if someone like Joshua King is going to play. Those players at 5.5 million, even an Tumu Pukki, to start the season, you just don't want to go there. So you want to have Ivan Toney, because of those fixtures, after Arsenal, a really nice even run of just mid-table fixtures that you can just see him getting some goals in. So I've got no problem with Toney, and I think with 1 million there to spend, we can even upgrade to a 7.5, who's much more established, and obviously when the injuries have kind of settled down a little bit, we can consider some more options. Then Brownhill. Now this is a big debate. Obviously, who do you get at 4.5 for that midfield option? I do feel like it's a bit of a difficult one, because someone like Yves Bissouma, he gets the odd goal, the old worldie, but it's not regular, so you can't count on that every week. Whereas Brownhill, alright, he didn't get many goals last season, but Burnley, despite the fact it's not the most attacking team to have a player from, and not the most ambitious, he actually does play quite far forward, and he's likely to play. He's kind of been growing into that team regularly, and now he's a bit of a mainstay in that side. Alright, the fixtures aren't great, but so what? He's a 4.5 midfielder. You're not going to play him most weeks, but if he does want to play with the fixture, then not the worst of options. And also consider about price drops. With high owned midfielders, you've got to think about the low cheap budget players. If they get a right price drop, then they're going to go down in price, and you're going to lose value in them. So you've got to consider that. It's a bit more differential with Brownhill. Everyone's got Bissouma, and a lot of people have got Billy Gilmore. I had Billy Gilmore at one point, but I just thought, why do it? Because ultimately, I think Dow could take away the set piece chances from him, and also the Norwich fixture is just awful. I've got nothing to kind of go off with Norwich to suggest they'll actually be really attacking and get some points this season. Finally, then we've got Luke Ayling, and this guy is a bit of an interesting punt, because he's not that attacking, but we're getting him for the clean sheets, aren't we? Really, he's kind of that Fofana-like option. Obviously, Fofana's fixtures pretty good. Norwich in that third game is one I'm thinking about. But, you know, at the end of the day, Ayling does the job. Fofana obviously injured with that game in the pre-season, but I think Ayling actually, if you look at Leeds' fixtures, they aren't the worst. You know, get rid of Everton, Burnley's a nice one, and actually Leeds have got chances for clean sheets. I hate to say it, when they play Watford. And you just got to think about rotation as well. I think the Brighton and the Leeds defence rotates really well. Now, I haven't got a Brighton defender, but I can easily go down to a Veltman or get a Sanchez in. So you got to consider that. And I think with Ayling, you got to think about what you're getting him for. You're getting him for the clean sheets. Those fixtures are quite nice for Luke Ayling, and let's hope he pops up with a goal. But it's not likely. It's just that, you know, someone like Brighton right now, there's not much stability there. And I feel like with Ayling, it feels like there's a bit more, because Leeds did really improve in their defence last season, and it'd be interesting to see how they get on. So that is my selection, people. Drop down any more questions you've got in the chat, of course. I'd be happy to answer them. But that is why I've